So, um, basically, what do we want to do?
Maybe we should just start. It's 4:33 and you didn't, if you had gotten a yes from either of them, I'd say let's wait, but it's kind of silly to wait if we don't know, I think.
Did anybody get a chance? I know I just sent it out today to look over what I compiled out of the most recent guidelines.
Yes, I did.
Any
Yes,
thoughts?
I did too.
It makes sense
The
to me.
only question, the only concern I had, and it's probably more just because I wasn't sure why, is the tracking of the name of whoever you come into contact with.
That would just be for very specific services because we are in such close contact to them. And I took that out of the guidelines that are being required from personal care services like salons.
So is that, like in case somebody gets sick, we have a way of, contacting everybody who we came into contact with?
That's my understanding.
Okay.
So, of course, we would still keep our own internal privacy procedures in place. We would not record what they were here for beyond maybe just a general computer help, or we may not even go that deep. I'm not sure at this point, but we would just record they were here for a service that we had to be in close contact with them.
I gotcha. I understand.
So the things...
Would all of the...
Go ahead, Karen.
Sorry. Would all of the procedures that you listed in that form, would all of those be expected to take place?
In the part that I summarized for the library application, I think it's what would make the most sense at this point. It's what seems like would be most in line with what is expected from other types of industries based on the kinds of service that we give, because we give so many different kinds of service.
Okay.
You have limited computer use to 2 hours. I mean, is that what time most people spend? Because I'm thinking if we made it less than that, you could accommodate more people in a day.
Well, I did the 2 hours because that's about how long it takes to fill out a job application.
Okay.
And if we did it by appointment, then, if somebody left early and somebody called, we would accommodate them.
Okay.
Also, because cleaning is recommended every 2 hours, that seemed like a reasonable time frame. This is, when we open, it is going to put a lot of extra work on staff to do all this extra cleaning, but I don't see any way around it.
I mean, any place you go, I went and had a haircut last week or the week before, and she had to wash down the chair and the whole area before I could come and sit down. So, I think any place is doing that.
Yeah. I think where we might run into some tricky points is, well, obviously the actual enforcement. The only way I could think of doing this is to keep the outside doors locked and have a process up there, so people know exactly they can call or whatever it is that needs to be done. The part that's likely to really cause problems is limiting social gatherings because people are so used to, coming in and just hanging out. So, in order to facilitate eliminating those concerns, I think at this point we do need to keep the front doors locked, but just have on the front door, if you need computer services, call and we'll, or if you need pickup, if you want to browse and so on. And it'll take a bit more of staff coordinating things and making sure that we serve as many people as possible while still limiting how many people are in the building. But they've been doing really good with it, with the curbside and the faxes. So they've had some practice and they've done well. So I definitely think they can handle it. I think the public probably is going to be confused and frustrated that they can't just walk in and browse. But when museums are told, remove all of your interactive displays or don't let people touch them, and a library is very different from retail, because in retail, you might handle a few things and then take things away. But in the library, people are looking at it, putting it back on the shelf, and you may look at 15 or 20 different items, touching them, breathing on them, and then putting them back. And then we're taking those items potentially and doing curbside service for someone who's immunocompromised. I just feel like the more we can limit the amount of time and people that are spent in that kind of environment, it's something that we can do. And I did write in here that we could allow potentially limited browsing, or I didn't write it in here. I thought about it. I really think at this point, closed stacks are going to be our best option, even though it's going to make people really unhappy. Just because they are still recommending that museum piece and the stacks function in that way.
Well, I can understand, because you go in and you pick up a book and you flip through it. It technically needs to be cleaned before somebody else can use it. And I mean, how do you really clean a book? So, and as far as keeping the door locked, I mean, I had a doctor's appointment this morning, and when I got there, I had to call from my car and stay there until they said I could come in. So I don't see, that's exactly what the library can do, and doctor's offices are doing it. So,
yeah,
I mean, I think that's the right thing to do, keep down the number of people in there.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. I think, even if you want to just put even a notice inside the main area so that people are reminded, if they do go inside the main building, that the stacks are going to be closed. But if they do wish to check out a book, curbside is still available, and they will still be able to get their needs met that way.
Yeah. I think the biggest complaints we have had are no computer service, which this would solve, even if it's a little bit more complex to get that computer service, we would still be providing it. And then people really want to browse, but all I can see is either we don't allow it at this point, or we say, yeah, we understand people are really concerned about it, and it could, people believe that it could potentially infect them, but oh well, we're just going to allow it because retail does it, so what's the difference? I personally don't feel the second is the best choice.
Do you think maybe, I don't know if you guys have the ability to change or add to the website, but maybe if there's a way that the browsing ability on the website could be changed a little bit, maybe a bit more, browse user friendly rather than specific.
We
if that's
wish.
even a thing.
We wish. And, we don't have a lot of control over the OPAC. And that, what you're talking about, Karen, we have tried. That's some of the part-time people have spent a lot of time going in, putting in tags so that, for example, if you wanted horror DVDs, there's a tag for that and it would bring up anything that we've tagged as a horror DVD. But we have not done that with the entire collection. So really, I think the people's best bet if they want to browse is to talk to us, and we can help them in a way that they might not have the skills on their own at this point.
Would it be possible to maybe have like a chat feature on the website? Is that possible?
I'll have to look into it. I don't think that's available, but I can look into it. But honestly, a phone call
Okay.
is going to be better because when you're helping somebody with that,
Okay.
it really needs to be a conversation. And the
Okay.
chat feature definitely would not be on the catalog side where people would actually be looking at books.
That's
If
true.
it's available
That's
at all,
true.
they'd have to jump back onto our actual website, hamnerlibrary.org.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So what I was thinking is if there were no objections to us keeping the stacks closed, limiting access to one patron on the computer, one fax by appointment, and then one other patron could be in the library for whatever reason might come up. I think that would have few enough people in here that we could still help people but still keep social distancing. We'll close the stacks. We won't let people come in just for study groups or just to hang out. We'll do the cleaning that we need to do. Employees will wear face coverings if they are able, and we have purchased them face shields as well for close contact services, and we also have sneeze guards at the front desk. For close contact services, just like they do at a hair salon, we would ask users to wear a face covering if they are able. We'll keep going with curbside service. And then this is where I need to know how you guys want to proceed. Do we say we stay at this point until further notice? Do we say that we'll evaluate at the next executive meeting, which would be July 13th? Do we say that we evaluate at the next full trustee meeting, which is July 21st? What kind of messaging do you guys want us to give people?
I think it needs to say it'll be evaluated as the governor proceeds. I mean, we don't want to limit it to we're not going to talk about it again for another month if he comes out next Friday and ups it to phase 3. I just think
I agree.
to say we will reevaluate as the governor, something in that language, because it's on him at this point. If we're following his phases, then I think that's kind of how it needs to be.
So you guys are open to the possibility of needing to call a special meeting to discuss further reopening?
When's our next executive again?
July 13th.
I feel like we probably should, because if we were to reopen it to the level that you suggested and then reevaluate, I mean, July 13th, that's a long time.
About a
At the
month.
rate that the governor is going, it seems like he's doing, about 2.5 weeks, maybe 3 weeks.
4-week phase, yeah.
Okay. So should we say that we open up based on that list that I sent out starting on Monday, or do you want it to be sooner?
I don't see why we should wait. I mean, I say once you have all of the materials and supplies ready to go, then there's no reason to wait.
I agree with Karen, once, because if we wait till Monday, I mean, this way, if you open this week and nobody really knows about it, it'll give you a little bit of chance to maybe work things out before it's broadcast, before everybody knows about it. So, I mean, if you feel comfortable opening, if you think all these things in your list are in place, I would say open as soon as possible. I know it wouldn't be in the paper until, well, I guess you probably can't get it in this week's paper,
No.
but it could go on the website.
Mhm.
Okay. I think based on
And you
the
could
way,
probably put it on Facebook too.
yeah,
True.
based on our staffing right now, I think Thursday would be the soonest we could do this.
Well, that's fine. That gives you 2 days to kind of, trial run or something.
Okay. And then, oh, go ahead, Carol.
I was going to say, are you going to go back once you do this on, say you start Thursday, are you going to go back to regular hours?
Well, I'm hoping you guys will approve that we keep the Monday to Friday 10 to 6. In June, out of our 30-some curbside pickups, we only had 2 that were after 5 p.m. And if we are not allowing people to come in and hang out, that further cuts out our evening users. And we have somebody who is working from home. They have, their doctor has informed us that it would be to their benefit to stay home during the month of June. So we've lost that person. We have a part-time front desk person who is leaving in a couple of weeks. They need to move to Richmond for family reasons, and they're not able to travel here. So we're going to be down 2 people. So reduced hours is really going to help us, especially since we have to do all the extra cleaning and so on.
I have no problem if you don't open on Saturday. And I mean, you certainly give good reasons to not stay open till 8. On the 3 days you're open till 8.
Mm-hmm. And at the moment,
Yeah, I'm
At the moment,
Go
we
ahead.
don't need to worry about meeting those state aid requirements, being open
Okay.
on Saturdays
Right,
and staying
right.
late. While it's not necessary at this particular time, it's understood that most libraries will not be doing that.
Okay.
Karen, did you have something?
I was just going to say that it's fine. I have no problem if you guys want to keep the limited hours that you've been maintaining. I have no problem with that.
Jill, how do you think you'll be able to manage with without 2 staff members? Do you think that's something that you can do?
With the limited hours and with only having patrons come in by appointment, I think it's manageable. If we were to open up fully and had not hired at least one replacement, I might still be asking that we keep reduced hours. We'll just have to see how things go. And honestly, it could be tricky to hire a replacement because those front desk service people, they have to interact with patrons. And, as we've talked about before, if we allow people to use the computers, people are going to need help that can only be provided by going up close to them. So, we're trying to hire somebody in new saying, you have to be willing to provide close personal contact services. So I think it's going to be tricky to get somebody to do that.
would it help if, so you said only 2 people picked up after 5.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, would it help if you made it 10 to 5? I mean, at least for the time being, since you're short 2 people.
Let's try it 10 to 6
Okay,
and see how it goes. The 10 to 5, just to the full-time people would not be working a full 40 hours unless they
Okay.
worked an hour when we were closed to the public.
well, so then, yeah, that's fine then, but we could always revisit that if you don't have enough people to staff, that would be 5 hours less you'd have to staff,
Yeah.
but. And if, then you could, if possible, like you say, a full-time person could just put, stay till 6 o'clock and do some whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, it's things like managing invoices, figuring out part-time schedules is, even though we try to keep them steady, people need time off or, their car breaks down or whatever, and trying to get all that scheduled out, that actually takes a pretty good bit of time. And it's stuff like that every time you get interrupted, you almost have to start from the beginning again. So that's why having those front desk people is so valuable. I know sometimes people come in and they're like, there were 4 of you working here and only 1 of you are on the desk. And it's like, well, 1 person was ordering stuff, 1 person was managing the invoices and balancing the budget, and like we were all doing these things that take a lot of concentration. So anyway. All right, so this is what I'm summarizing. We open on Thursday based on the list that I sent out this morning. We leave it open that if the governor puts the state into phase 3, we'll call a special meeting to discuss what's next. And we're staying Monday to Friday, 10 to 5 until further notice.
Ten to 5?
I'm
Or
sorry,
10
10 to 6.
10 to 6,
10
okay,
to 6. I'm sorry.
that's okay.
And I have to say, Carol, you have been on top of knowing when to get the agendas out. Keeping track of what 3 business days ahead of time is and making sure they're out on time. Your calendar work is a lot better than mine is at the moment.
I just like to get it done. Don't have to worry about it anymore.
Yep. All right.
Thank you, though.
Gail, was there anything I needed to change on the minutes before I post them on the website from last executive meeting?
I believe I resent those to everyone. Did everyone get them the second time? I didn't receive any other
Okay.
requests for change, so
So the second one is the accurate one.
it should be.
All right. Anything else from anybody?
No, I'm good.
All right. Well, thank you guys for taking the time in the middle of a Monday afternoon to jump on a web call.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Jill.
Thank
Take
you.
care. Bye.
Thank you.
All right. Bye,
Bye,
guys.
everybody.